The Gamut Repetitor makes creating basslines super addicting. Noise Engineering, who are not sponsoring this video, I bought this thing with my own damn money, are experts at creating my personal favorite, a controlled randomized workflow when it comes to their sequencers. The Gamut Repetitor takes what I was literally trying to achieve with multiple modules and just slams it into one. Zooming out, it has 4 pitch outputs and 4 trigger outputs that follow the 4 trigger inputs. I got something plugged into 1, 2, 3, and 4 are normal, so they'll just kind of follow along. Now, based on the input, the Gamut will create randomized pitch and trigger outputs at these 4 outputs. Then, using the link knob, you grab a loop of whatever you just heard and it keeps it there. And then, this is where the magic happens, because you can then use the spread knob, the up and down knob, the flavor, and the count switches to perform that loop without ever losing it. And then, if that's not all, I realized using my old techniques and hacks that I was doing before, I can freak the Gamut out way more than I originally thought. It's insane. Buckle up, because this one is gonna be sick. Let's dive in. So I got a little pattern here on the Digitact, no bassline, right? We'll start turning up our length to infinity. This means it's just gonna forever keep creating a random pattern. But our spread is set to 0, so it can't spread up or down 2 octaves yet, but I'll start turning that up. Right? Listen to that. And then I can open up our filter. We'll take the kick out. This will change whether it's going above or below the root note. And if it's in the middle, it's going up an octave or down an octave, depending on how far I turn my spread up. If I want it to only go up, right? Or lower. Here, let's go ahead and mute some more of these things. Let's go even lower. Listen to this. Maybe I don't want that much spread. Maybe I like what I just heard, right? You turn this, look for the LED to turn red. That'll be lengths that are divisible by 2. So think 2 steps, 4 steps, 8 steps, 16 steps. It's an easy way to kind of gauge where you're at. Maybe I just want 4. Right? Listen to this. This is where like stuff gets wild. So in this little setup here, this is our clock changing our Gamut Repetitor. But I can freak this pattern out by changing the clock, because the Gamut is not necessarily receiving clock information, it's just receiving trigger inputs. And depending on those trigger inputs, will then step it one more step within its randomized generated sequence, if that makes sense. So watch. Right? I have B sending a reset to it, so then I can take a couple steps out. Maybe another one. Right? So with just like changing up the sequence that's going into it, you can open up this world of weird, crazy basslines that totally go with whatever you're working on. And again, because I know that I'm in C minor, I tune this to C. I can change my root note or not. And while this loop is still playing, this 4-step loop, I can increase whether the notes go up, how far they spread, or how many lengths or how many steps are in this length. Purple means divisible by 2 or 3, so this is probably 6 steps. And again, you take a couple of these out. Now, the only thing I wish that the Gamut did, which is something that I was able to do with scales on my old setup, is that scales will constantly be receiving and quantizing its pitch information, but it won't send that pitch information out until it receives a trigger. Now, the Gamut, it's always receiving and sending out pitch information independent of its trigger outputs. So watch, if I turn this up, you can hear how it's kind of like sliding around. I wish that it only sent out pitch information when the trigger was. But I know those crazy fools at Noise Engineering could probably update this. Not saying they will, don't know, haven't even mentioned this to them, but I wish it did that, and that would be freaking awesome. But this already, the fix for me is just to shorten this up, make a little bit more of a staccato bass line. And now, open this up, maybe let's go to 8 steps. Oh, here's the other crazy thing. I haven't even touched flavor and count yet. So count will increase how many notes are in the selected scale. Right now we're just doing like a tritonic or something. It's basically 3 notes within the scale. This is 5 notes within the scale, maybe a little less. And then flavor is going to be what type of minor scale it is. So there's major, minor, and then symmetrical. I don't know what SYM is. All I know is I'm living in the minor or the major leagues, and then I'm going to open up flavor and move this around to get a new kind of playable mode. Right, this is cool. And now I'm just shifting the bias of these notes. Maybe add a couple more triggers in there. And then close it up. Open it up. And this is CVable too. The flavor and the count will be controlled by the scale CV input, and then the major, minor, and SYM is going to be controlled by this jack here. But again, you can kind of just play these around and flip the switches as you like, because that's kind of my favorite thing to do, is just to kind of hear where it lands, right? Open this up a bit. And the reason I have it clocked from here, not just straight 16 inputs, is because I wanted to have a bit more control over the speed of the tempo, because if this is just full on 16, it's a little too much, a little too randomized for me, and I like to have a bit more control. Right? Maybe we randomize it again. Go even further on the spread. Grab that, whatever that was. So this is cool, but I want it to be not so fast, right? Maybe a little faster here. Oh, see? Now that's a perfect example. That last note, boom, is that one more step in the sequence. It's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th randomized moment that the Gamut has created that we're now looping. But I can erase that in a sense by just going to 4 steps. Oh, that's kind of dope. And again, like you can see that I got number 4 going to our shape. That's controlling the shape here. These are all other CVs that are randomized based on the input of number 1, because 2, 3, and 4 are normal. 2, 3, and 4 here are not following necessarily what random generation happened on outputs 1. 2, 3, and 4 are independently random generations of whatever that sequence is. Does that make sense? I feel like I just rambled on there for a second. So sometimes I'll just take 2 and send that to the shape and see what that sounds like. That's kind of cool. Open up our filter so we can really hear it. Now let's go to 3 and see what that sounds like. Whew. Yo, that already almost sounds like it added triggers, but it totally didn't. And yo, look, now I take this and go down. And And if I don't like it, you get to explore controlled randomness, right? Bring that back up. Now let's try changing up the flavor. Maybe we don't like this, we want to go down a little. Oh, I didn't like that at all. That's kind of cool. Now what if we went down? How about here? No, we had the sweet spot. Ah! Now let's see where else we can take this, right? We'll take 4 and send it to something else. How about we take 4 and send it to the spread? Yo, that is so subtle, but so tight. Without it, and then with it. And then take it out again. Right, put it into something like the navigator so we have control over it. Go out of here, go back into our spread. Oh, so something happened there that you might not have caught, and it's probably going to be impossible for me to recreate, but it's interesting to know. I've noticed this between IntelliGel and noise engineering, and honestly any manufacturer, but when it comes to latency and trigger speeds and readouts and all that stuff, they all kind of vary. So once in a while, this and this will communicate in a weird way where this is now sending out triggers to this almost one step behind. But because I have track B set to being the reset for this, it eventually falls back on. And what's cool is it actually adds this weird like glitch in the matrix that sounds kind of trippy and grabs your attention. But because track A's triggers are still in the same place, it's triggering the triggers at the same time, but then the pitch is kind of moved. So it just does this funky thing. And again, it'll probably be impossible for me to recreate this. Let me save this real fast just so I don't lose it, because I actually really like this a lot. Let's see if it'll do it. Basically what it sounds like is like this. And then it puts itself back on. And that's another reason why I like having B be my reset. Because if I were to go and like load this, and we go and look at B, I can move this around and put it back on, right? Maybe push it here. Then bring this down. Oh! Yo! Yo! What about here? Ah! Now here's the thing, unlike the Mimetic Digitalis, on here you can actually save up to 8 different settings that you really liked. On the Gamut, there's no saving. It's kind of this like beautiful improv-y, just love it and get it and generate it and just play with it and have fun, and then it's gone. So unless you record it, it's gonna be gone. Luckily for me, I can just go ahead and record it here. So let me grab this real quick because this is actually super tight. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my filter for this. All right, so that was a good one. Let's go ahead and change our reset to C. Now we're gonna go ahead and arm this again. But you get the idea. Grab them while you can because the Gamut will not save any of your sequences. But again, it's just like, say I didn't save this and I wanted to try something new, it's tight. You just go to infinity. And there's something new right there. And again, you're in scale, you're in key, it all works. You change up the flavor a bit. Maybe make it a little more simpler, add a little bit more to the count. Go back to A, add some more in there. Play it off, right? Either way, my friend, I appreciate you so much. If you want to support the channel, I sell MIDI hats and shirts at this site here. But you kicking it's more than enough. I hope to see you again next week. And until then, you already know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.